Hello everyone, MessyPlays here, back at it again. How you doing today? I am playing Marvel's Spider-Man. Okay, so this was pretty much after the credits. I had a feeling his son was somewhere. Oh shit. That's symbiote. Okay. So that's a lot to digest. Basically, we saw Miles, spider out. And then Peter revealed his identity. And now it looks like Harry is bonding with a symbiote. Or symbiotes, going by Venom. Okay, I'm not gonna... Oh, you have finished the main story, but the adventure continues. You can now change the time of day in research stations. Good luck, hero. Okay, I might do a little swinging. It helps to think. So that was Spider-Man. What an interesting game. There's a lot to digest here. I haven't written anything down. It's a long game. We'll start there. And it's paced so weirdly. This is one of the things I've been talking about in every single video. That I think the voice acting was tremendous. Like, the characters were believable. There's a lot of heart to this game. But I think the storyline was just muddled. It was messy. Like, for the first 50%, it was obsessed with Martin Lee and his whole vengeance agenda. You see, this is what I didn't want to happen. I didn't want calls in the background. So the first 50% of the game, you're taking on these goons who are possessed by this negative energy, and there's various crimes happening, and you only really encounter a tutorial boss at the start, which is Fisk, and that's to show you the kind of ropes. And then he goes to prison. Fucking hell, is this call going to end? Oh god. Right, so you take on Fisk and you think, wow, that's great. Okay, how is he going to play into the story? And then he doesn't. He just goes to prison. So you think, well, okay. So then the next boss you encounter is Shocker. And it's a good boss fight. And you think, okay, so what's this building towards? How is he involved in the story? And he's not. And what's interesting is you think, well, he'd be put away and be part of the Sinister Six, and he isn't. He's just forgot about. And then you think, you're playing as MJ during these forced stealth missions, and they're bringing Tombstone. Now, I had to Google this guy, and I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. I don't know this character, but it was a pretty solid introduction. And then he's not featured again. And then the game goes on like this, kind of repeating mostly the same elements. You'll play as Peter, you'll play as Spider-Man, and then Mary Jane, and then Miles. And then it feels like in the third act, like the last part of the game, then things start to actually happen. The Sinister Six are broken out of prison, and then you start to fight them all, which I didn't like, because I thought, why not establish them one by one and put them away, and then show that they're hard to handle individually, and then the end of the game you got to handle them all, and that shows you how overwhelming it is to take them on as a team. But you don't get that. Now, I did like the moments where you fought them, and I liked how the city literally falls into disrepair. But it just felt so late in the game. The pacing was terrible. Like, why didn't we see Fisk again? Why did they get that voice actor? He's a good actor. And he barely has any role in the story. There's a lot can be said about Doc Ock in this game. I think he was a surprise reveal as well, because I know they tried to hide the fact that he was in the game, and most of the story revolves around you being apprenticed to him, It's very much Breaking Bad Spider-Man edition. You play pretty much, you know, Jesse Pinkman to Otto's Walter White. Now, these aren't just kind of cosmetic comparisons. His actual storyline is pretty much very similar. He's like a scientist who worked for a big company, had a big chance to, you know, make something of himself, and things go awry, and he's by himself in a dingy little like studio lab, you know, making crystal meth pretty much. And it's nice that they kind of flesh out the bonding that they have between Otto and Peter, and how Peter really looks up to him. That's nice. You know, it works. That really works. And I think, you know, Otto's probably one of the best characters in the game, because by the end, there is no redemption arc for him. You know, they're staying true to the comics, where he's like, you know, I'm not the good guy that sacrifices myself in the end. I'm the bad guy. I go to prison and I'm going to break out and do it again. You know, I'm in this for forever now. So I did like that. So I think my major issue with the game is the pacing. I just did not like how the story was structured. I did like the events, you know, as they came together pretty much. Like Otto and Oscorp's kind of history together. I keep calling them Oscorp. Osborn's son being MIA, and then you find out there's an actual reason for that as well. That was really interesting. Mary Jane, what can you say about her missions? They weren't as bad as I was prepared for, because I heard some like horrific things, you know, forced stealth sections. They're not brilliant, and they seem so tacked in. And I know that, you know, it's a hot button issue to say, well, they probably just forced it in to not have her as a damsel in distress, and it's great that you're not really rescuing her at all most of the time. But it's like, does it actually add worth to the game? Are you doing this for the sake of appearing progressive, or does it actually improve the game in any satisfying way? I'm undecided on that. I think it's definitely interesting. I think what they should have done is have it like a Grand Theft Auto thing, where basically on the map there were certain sections where if you go to that, you will start to play as Mary Jane, but it's not tied into the main story and is more optional. And I think they could have done that with, like, say for example, the Tombstone angle. If he's a more, you know, humanoid enemy, maybe that's someone she could have been personally investigating. You know, like the Catwoman missions in Arkham. I think that might have worked better, because the way the story is told, it just felt so random, so awkward and so forced. It's the same with Miles. Like, you know, I appreciate he's in the game. It was a pretty decent setup. But again, it's like, what is the setup? Is the sequel going to be them two, like, Spider Boys? You know, Spider Gang, Spider Squad? You know, it's kind of a wait and see to see if this actually pays off, because as it stands, it seemed like they just wanted to put him in for the sake of saying we've got him in the game, but, you know, he doesn't become Spider-Man. You don't see him as Spider-Man. What else can I talk about, really? Like I said, I think the production is fantastic. The graphics are obviously incredible. The swinging is just brilliant. The gameplay is good. I've had my points about how derivative it is of the Arkham games. I've got to, like, knock it some points for that, because there's some, like, cosmetic things, like the stealth takedowns, the, you know, going into situations and picking them off one by one with unique you know, takedown attempts. But then there's more serious things, like the Scorpion mission. When I played that, I actually started to get a bit disgusted, because it was like, this is a direct plagiarist lift of what they did with the Ra's al Ghul missions. And one of them, I can't remember, I think it was Arkham City. And it's like, like, are you for real? Like, I know you're probably sick of the comparisons between these two games, but that was unreal how similar that was. Like, god damn it, have your own ideas. At least the Mr. Negative boss battles, you know, that felt original. That was good. I like that. But you kind of get away with shit like that and not be expected to be called out on it. That was unreal. So I'm a bit disappointed by that kind of stuff. But everything else, like the music, the voice acting especially, you know, the sense of time and place, like this, it's interesting because people can look back in the future. They'll be able to play this game, and it is pretty much a recreation of a city. You know, it may not be perfect, but they'll get a glimpse into what it was like to live in this like time. They'll be like, whoa, we're swinging off buildings and stuff. But you know what I mean. So yeah, I think let's say like the extra missions, the side missions, I don't know why they're kind of all marked on the map. It's not like the Riddler stuff where you've actually got to use your brain. Most of it is literally just go there and click, go there and click. Like they haven't got anything comparable to the Riddler, you know, the Riddler clues where you actually had to use your noggin and think, how does this work? I've got to think about this. What angle do I have to be at? What have I got to do to complete this? Whereas the backpack stuff and the Black Cat stuff to a lesser extent is basically just go here and click. This is cool. There's definitely a sense of like wonder and amazement playing the game, but I think that'll wear off quick. I'm not too fussed on the DLC. I've completed the story. I'm really happy with it. They went to some dark places. They went to some interesting places. Overall, I think the story was a decent attempt, but I think it was botched. And like I said, I'm a bit disappointed with how the villains were utilized, how some were underutilized. Like I said, Tombstone. But like, what was the point? What's the point of just introducing him and doing nothing with him? I don't know how much more you want me to prattle on. This is a good game. I'm not prepared to call it a really great game. It's fun to play. You'll get a lot of hours of entertainment out of it. I've done about 12 hours in this game. And I've done most of it. You know, I've done a lot of the side missions. I've done the whole, obviously, story missions. I've unlocked a lot of the suits and a lot of the extras. So I don't think there's much more for me to do in it. But there's a lot of content here in the package. And there's DLC on the way. I think in the end, what's my score for this game? I can't be too harsh because it's a brilliant game. Brilliant story. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10. I've knocked at some points for pacing issues and some villain issues, originality issues, but overall you'll have fun with this game. Do I regret my purchase? Absolutely not. Will I be keeping it? Probably not. I think I'll be selling it because I've had my fun with it, and I just do not see I do not see me playing it much more. I don't think there's a lot of content here. Like, I don't think I would replay the main storyline. I know it's got like a new game plus and an extreme difficulty, but I think the difficulty is something that I never felt like, ooh, more of a challenge would be a good thing. So maybe that's for someone else, but I'm good. So that's my final score, 8 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed these videos. If you did, please leave a comment and I'll have a look and see if, you know, you agreed with me or if you disagree with me fundamentally. And take care, guys. Catch you next time, and, you know, have a good day. Goodbye, guys.